Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. How's it going, y'all? Sorry we took a week off. Just life happens.
Yeah, it's called age. Don't get older. Just stay the age you're at. If you're older than me, get younger. Um, because I don't want to get any older. So
Yeah. I not related to anything. I finally actually got my son started with the Lord of the Rings movies. We actually just finished watching the Two Towers earlier today. Yes, it is the extended version. Um, the theatrical versions are great, but if you have access to the extended, watch the extended.
oh,
um,
absolutely. There's so much more in the extended versions that add to the story and explain a few things. So
the one thing that I was happiest about that was cut back in was the mouth of Sauron. I loved that scene. I loved it in the book. I loved it in the movie. Yeah, of course, the movie changed a couple of things, but it's called an adaptation. It doesn't have to be one to one, and I'm okay with that. Um, but yeah. Oh, but here I was pointing out to him. I I think I figured out why it aged so well. And it is a good movie, it's a good story, but part of what makes it a good movie, and I've realized this as I've gotten older, and I start to notice other things. I think part of what made Lord of the Rings age so well is the composer for the score did an amazing job, and the cinematography. Granted, shooting in New Zealand helped because they had beautiful scenery already there. But the cinematography, you have this wide shot with all of these mountains behind them, or you have these overhead shots, like beautiful shots. And you don't realize at first little things like that will make or break your movie.
oh yeah. Well, of course, New Zealand's just very beautiful. Would love to go there someday. Just not even to visit Hobbiton or anything like that, but just I would. Don't get me wrong, but I would just love to go there. Like my dad and I, before he passed, we were actually planning on a fly fishing excursion in New Zealand, um, which I'll probably go do that at some point. But I got to remember how to fly fish. I haven't done that in years, so.
Um, Actually, you know what? I'm going to use that as a quick segue because one of the things that I pointed out while we were watching, Aomir came up and I mentioned like that's the dude who's going to be playing Johnny Cage in the new Mortal Kombat coming up. So I'm going to use this as a segue for that because
All right.
if you're a fan of the movies or the games, they did go ahead and release some of the still images. I To be completely honest, I'm still not a huge fan of Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, and it's mostly because I think Carl Urban is better than that as an actor. Um, but he does look like Johnny. He looks great. But if we're being honest, Johnny Cage is a generic white dude with sunglasses. He looks
And
great.
and most white dudes are just generic to begin with.
Right. Um, Katana looks fantastic. I love this look. And this is actually straight out of, I believe, MK11. It's fucking great. Scorpion didn't really change much, and he doesn't have to. Um, and that actor, Hiroki Sanada, and I'm probably butchering his first name, and I apologize for that. Absolutely fan fucking tastic portrayal of Scorpion. Um, I kind of love that he's started to get typecast just anytime you need an actual authentic Japanese dude. He was in 47 Ronin. He was in The Wolverine. He was in that show Shogun. I haven't watched it yet, although um,
Oh,
I, s- I want to watch it, but I was not aware when it started, so I didn't set my DVR in time, and I missed the first two episodes. I could go back and watch it. I'm probably going to, but I do want to watch it. But my problem with this, and if anybody is looking, you can probably already see it on the side panel. Shao Kahn looks like shit.
looks like fucking Shredder.
little bit. Um, Now the part that, because I know you're on your phone right now, and I don't know how much you're able to see. He does still have the skull in there, like you can see the teeth and everything. Um, and actually, yeah, and of course he's got, yeah, that's more samurai than anything. Where Shao Kahn's is not supposed to be like that. I mean, in fact, if anybody's watching this, you probably already know what Shao Kahn looks like. But in case you don't, we're just going to go ahead and pull him up here, just so you have a comparison. I actually really like that version from MK11. Well, okay, no, I take that back. Because right here, he does have actually pretty similar horns. It's not the same, but it's not that far off.
Not creative liberties, man.
But I don't like the all black. I don't. Um, Actually, you want to know what's funny is in the first one. So did you watch the movie they did back in 2021? Did you ever see
I
that?
did. Yeah, I did. The main character, being a
Oh,
descendant of what, Sub-Zero or Scorpion or whichever one it
Scorpion.
was. I did not like the ability they gave him. I thought
His
turning your
ability
body
was
into some kind of armor, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, come on, you're a descendant of Scorpion.
with nightsticks. Because remember, he had the fucking built-in nightsticks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think we can all agree Cole Young's character was just kind of dumb overall. Um, the one thing that I will say, as somebody who's been a fan of the game since the very first one in 1992, the Scorpion and Sub-Zero rivalry was absolutely spot on, fucking perfect. I would not change a thing about the way that they portrayed it in the movie. Loved it. Um, but where I was going with it, it took me the longest to realize the actor they had for Shang Tsung. I recognized him, but I could never place him. That was Lao in The Dark Knight.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. I
it
never realized that either.
blew my fucking mind when I realized that. But yeah, um, I'm looking forward to the movie. I'm going to watch the movie. Just because I don't like his appearance does not mean it's going to ruin the movie for me. Which I wish some of the Joker fans would have taken note of back when Suicide Squad came out. To be fair, I'm not saying the Suicide Squad was a good movie, but I'm saying the Joker's appearance, the tattoos, was not a make or break. Not the way that a lot of people made it out to
Well, he was just a cheap juggalo. That's all he was.
be. I'm not mad at that. Uh, but yeah, like I will 100% agree. Like it wasn't a great movie. Again, his portrayal was not necessarily good. Um, Honestly, from what I know about him, I'm not really sure that I would consider Jared Leto just in general be a good person. But I'm just saying that people got hung up on his appearance. I'm not going to get hung up on Shao Kahn's appearance. I don't like it, but let's see where it goes.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Jared Leto. You mentioned Jared Leto and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, the best part of Morbius was Matthew Smith.
Honestly, you're not wrong. Matthew Smith was actually fucking great. Um, Morbius, the kindest thing I heard anybody ever say about Morbius was it's a way to spend 2 hours. and, and honestly, that's kind of how I felt. It's by no means the best comic book movie or vampire movie that I've ever seen. I have seen worse of both genres. So it was tolerable. Would I go for a second pass? Absolutely not.
I'd be okay with Matt Smith coming back and reprising that character, that role, if there was a way you're going to incorporate him into the MCU. But God, and I don't want to sit here and bag on Jared Leto because there are some things that he has done, aside from his, personality and whatnot. But there are some things he has done that, were really, really good, really entertaining. And but I think when he crosses that line into superheroes, into the comic book world, it's lacking. I mean, for me, you know, up until a certain point, Jack Nicholson was the Joker, but then all of a sudden Heath Ledger comes along, and to me, there is that to me Heath Ledger is a standard now.
Well,
If you're going to do a Joker, you better outshine that performance.
well, I actually love the way the comics did it because when Batman sat in what was it called, like the Mobius chair, I believe. I
Oh,
think it was Mobius.
yeah, it's like a
They
variation of the Lazarus Pit or something like that.
he at like you can ask any question, and the question he asked was, "Who is the Joker?" And you find out that there have been three Jokers the entire time. And there is the gangster, which Jack Nicholson, if you're going with the gangster adaptation, Jack Nicholson fucking nailed it. There has never been a better in my lifetime, at least not live action. Mark Hamill is definitely right behind him. There's the gangster, there's the anarchist, and if you're going for anarchy, Heath Ledger, there is no better. And the prankster. Now, if you're going with prankster, corny as it was, Cesar Romero.
Yeah, even with the makeup colored in your mustache to make it white.
So I think the way the comics did it, how they made it, how there are literally three different people doing it, and that's why there are three different variations of his personality, was a very smart bit of writing. And for the live action movies or just live action adaptations, it works perfectly for that. Um, and yeah, if we're going to talk about the gangster Joker, oh, Heath Ledger cannot fucking, or I'm sorry, not Heath Ledger, Jared Leto cannot touch Jack Nicholson in that.
No,
He's not even in the conversation. Um, the one thing that I did like about it, and I think I've mentioned this before, is two things. There was a story to his appearance. Those of y'all might remember in Batman versus Superman, he has the effigy of the with the Robin suit. Ha ha ha, jokes on you. So we know at this point that that Joker has killed Robin. But the thing is, in this, I read about this, but it was never stated in the movies. This is why Joker looks fucked up because when Batman found him, Batman beat the fucking brakes off of this man. Those were not that was not a grill. Those are replacements for his teeth. Where it says damaged on his forehead, that tattoo, he says, I was beautiful and you damaged me. So there is a good story to some of his appearance. And that was really cool. But the other thing that I like about it, the Joker's comic book laugh and smile is not something that can be done in live action. It just can't. You cannot contort your face to do that. At least not. Actually, you know what? I take that back because I look at Hugo Weaving. When Hugo Weaving was laughing as Agent Smith, that actually was a good Joker smile.
well, well, no, and I'll give you one more, Willem Dafoe.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But where I was going with it, the hand tattoo, how he would put his hand right here, and it was this comic, not comical, but this cartoonish mouth and grin. It wasn't a terrible idea. It wasn't well executed, but I understood the vision. I was okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and it's in some parts like when it was first introduced, it's like okay, and then when I kept seeing it different times, it was like okay, this is overdone. Let's get on with it. You know,
Right.
make them do something. Other than be that I don't know Harley Quinn side piece.
Yeah. The one thing that I think they should have done, and the Harley Quinn show did this. Actually, I believe I sent you that clip because that was the whole. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce? Um, Joker. There are two versions of it. There's one where Joker actually knows that it's Bruce Wayne and he doesn't care because outing him kills the fun. And
Yeah.
the other version is that he doesn't give two shits who Batman really is. He's having fun with Batman, and he does not give a fuck who Batman is in his personal life. And honestly, I love that dynamic. Whichever version of that is whichever version you want to run with, they equate to the same thing, that he just wants Batman because it's fun. I honestly love that take.
Yeah. All right. So we have one catastrophe for today. And the reason we have one catastrophe is because somebody didn't listen to me. So you know the couch we had in the basement, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we are getting rid of the one couch that was upstairs because the dogs decided to break it and springs were popping out of it. So we just moved up the couch from the basement. And instead of waiting for me to come home from the cigar lounge to do it and give help, they decided to do it on their own. And as they're bringing up the last piece, they decided to drop it on their big toe.
Ooh.
So, in the time that they were coming up with randoms and going through emails and stuff like that, trying to pull randoms or comments and stuff like that, was spent at the hospital getting x-rays. So,
Hmm.
and this one might take a little bit of time because I'm sure there are many stories but the random that was developed for this, for the catastrophe, is what is the most ridiculous way that you have ever injured yourself?
A ridiculous way. I'm trying to think here. Um, I've told the story on here about how I hurt my knee, which I'm still fucking confused at that. Like, I'm literally leaving the gym. I'm walking. It's fine. And nothing is wrong. And then just pop. Like, okay. Um, there's one I can think of when I was a teenager. Um, I thought that my big toe was jammed. And in hindsight, I'm pretty sure that it was broken. And the reason why I thought it was jammed, I've had a jammed finger before. And if you've never had it, it fucking sucks. You can't like you have some range of motion in your hand, but you can't close your hand. Um and I actually remember one time somebody was tossing me something and instinctively I caught it and it fucking hurt. But um So, I know what a jammed finger feels like. I thought my toe was jammed. You don't realize how many things you kick in the day until it fucking hurts to kick things. Well, so there's one day my toe has been getting better. It's been 2, 3 weeks, something like that. I'm doing better. I turn around and I fucking kick the stairs on my way up and re-injured myself, which took me out for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I've got so many, and the majority of them led to head injuries, concussions, and whatnot. But so when I was about like 7 years old, well, actually before that, when I was about 5 years old, a bunch of my friends were popping wheelies on their bikes. I could have popped a wheelie, found a big rock in the road, decided I was going to use that rock as leverage. Well, I had one of those Huffies with the handlebars, like the hangers that you see on most choppers now. And I don't know if they still call them choppers. That's more of like a '70s term, but still, it was it's just. So I decided I'm going to use the rock for leverage. So I use the lock for leverage, pull up, and handlebars come right across my forehead, give me a concussion, 3 stitches.
Ooh.
2 years later, I was coming out of the waiting pool in the front yard. My mom was holding the door open, and, for lunch and stuff like that. I'm running up, and I step on the towel that I'm holding and trip and fall, and right in the section where the screen door, the thinner part. So I came down right there, 7 stitches. Yeah, a lot of this has to do with my feet and my head. So my friend used to own a business back in Cortland, Ohio, computer business, and he was moving offices, and he had these old office chairs from like the 1970s, with the 4x4 blocks of wood as
Yeah.
legs. And instead of just throwing it in the back of the truck, I'm like, we can get more shit in there if we just break these chairs down. He's like, yeah, it's a good idea. So I'm sitting there working it, and I can't get it. So I'm decided I'm just gonna like see if I can kick it. Kick it, snapped off, came across, struck me right across the friggin' forehead, right across the eyebrow. 80 stitches after a plastic surgeon was called in
Oh wow.
because she was downtown Warren with at the Italian Fest. So I'm glad she wasn't drinking because she was on call, but still, I think I bled for about like 3 hours or something like that. So it was not fun. Yeah, it was. So I still have like no feeling right here. I can do this. I do not feel this whatsoever. So
You actually reminded me of one. I had to be 13 at the time, and I never saw a doctor for this because I was fucking stupid. Um, I'm pretty sure I concussed myself, and basically what I was doing, I'm hanging out with some people, and it was probably, I think there was like one or two girls, and that had something to do with it. They're laughing, and I just kept them laughing. I'm basically like what I can best describe as a Ric Flair flop, which for those of you who never actually watched wrestling, that would be what this is right here. So you notice the way that he just flops down. Now, I actually only just spotted the way that he got around this where he didn't hurt himself. He's actually landing on his shoulder. I landed on the side of my head and my shit was ringing for the rest of the night.
so I mean, it's like I remember being up at Kent State University with some friends, just apartment party and stuff like that, and drinking snake bites the whole fucking night long. And we realized we're out of alcohol. So somebody has a great idea. It's alcohol. We all hop in the fucking car. I'm in the back seat, and they're like, "Oh, we forgot my wallet." So I'm trying to get out of the fucking car, and it's a fucking hatchback, almost like about the size of a fucking Pinto, but more cramped than a fucking Chevette.
Oh,
For
like a
some
El
reason,
Camino.
yeah. So for some reason, the ground looked like it was going straight down like this. So I tried to step that way, and right on a gravel parking lot, I skidded about 3 feet on my face.
Ooh, ooh, fuck.
Woke up the next day. I got it's not a hangover. I landed on my fucking head and was basically dragged across the parking lot by momentum. We're picking little pieces of gravel, fucking skin and stuff like that, and uh, going to work on Monday and my face just all fucked up. What happened to you? I fell. So,
uh,
so
yeah, I to this day I have road rash like right here for because of something like that.
yeah, and then there's the times that I've kicked the coffee table, and I was trying to kick something out like a dog toy was in the way, and I went to kick it out of the way, and it's like bam, shin right on the coffee table, toe right to coffee table. So yeah,
Yeah.
multiple ridiculous ways. I honestly can't count how many, but I'm pretty sure that most of them have led to a concussion.
Yeah, that's fair. Uh,
So if you haven't seen uh, last week's episode of Daredevil, we get back a long awaited return of probably one of the greatest characters to come out of the Netflix, and Marvel shows, and is going to be a welcome addition to the MCU. Frank Castle is back.
I would like to point out though, as of right now, he's not he was just wearing, black shirt and boots and everything. Um, so as of right now, Frank Castle is not being the Punisher. Frank Castle at the moment is just a murder hobo. But
So,
real since we're
do you,
talking about that, go ahead, go ahead. I'm just
do
gonna
you, do you do you think it was Castle who shot White Tiger? Sorry for spoilers, people.
no, I don't.
I don't
Um,
think so either.
but yeah, for those of you watching this on YouTube, sorry if you're listening audio only. This is a meme from the Daredevil show where you actually see him go and look at all of his helmet/cowls. And I never thought about this before. Why the fuck does Matt Murdock have more than one color? Because even though he can quote unquote see, he don't see color. So what the fuck is the point? But
He also knows what every woman's vagina tastes like.
that's an interesting side ability. I never thought about that.
And you can
But
you can go back to season one of Daredevil on when it was on Netflix, and he's being he Rosario Dawson where she's injured and stuff like that, and he's like the wound on your back is opened up, and she's like, well, how do you know? He's like, I can smell the copper. Hmm.
honestly, that's one thing that I do find funny about it is that when you look at the totality, like like as far as our live action depictions, or at least Charlie Cox's version, um, Daredevil be getting ass.
Makes me want to be blind.
Like he got Rosario Dawson. I believe him and Karen hooked up initially. Like they
Oh,
tapered
probably.
off and were just friends, but I believe they did sleep together. He smashed She-Hulk, and mind you, he knew who she was. So I'm pretty sure he fucked her as Jennifer and he fucked her as She-Hulk. Or
What if he
it's
fucked her
she
during? What if he fucked her during transformation?
talk about a gorilla grip. Uh, but yes, I to answer to come back to your question though, no, I do not think that he killed Hector Ayala because um honestly, anybody with eyes understands what happened is that their star witness folded on them, probably because of pressure from the cops. Castle knows that. He can recognize that. Um, so he would not be the one to come after White Tiger. I do think he's going to be the one to come after the guy who came after Ayala. First off, he's going to be pissed about them using his logo. You know he is.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's got no reason to come after Hector because or White Tiger, because I mean we've established, and this is what Daredevil was Murdoch was talking about. He has a history of helping people, cops included. So it doesn't make sense that he would just randomly come up and murder one. That doesn't track.
Right.
Um, one thing that somebody on Twitter pointed out, and I don't disagree with him, is that the Daredevil, because this is a continuation of the Netflix shows, that means that everything we watch there is canon. All the things he experienced there, he still experienced. The Daredevil of the Matt Murdock that we have seen would not have sandbagged his own client for the sake of winning a case. And I will agree with that. Um, but I make the argument after losing Foggy, I think that Murdoch's compass is a little bit skewed right now. And I think he told Hector, I don't think you're going to miss being him as much as you think you are. I think he was trying to convince Hector as much as he was trying to convince himself. He's trying to force Hector into retirement because he thinks it worked out for me, it'll work out for you. So I don't disagree that Matt Murdock sandbagging his own client is a little bit uncharacteristic, but I do think that there was a logic to what he did, not just to win the case. Oh, it was fucked up though.
Yeah. No, I can get behind that. I really can. So
Um, while we are talking about Marvel related stuff, though, so let me show y'all another one. So they have also released first images of the Ironheart series.
yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not crazy about this. I'm honestly hoping that this is like a beta test suit, kind of like Tony in the original Mark One suit he had in the cave. I'm hoping this is equivalent to that because that's not Ironheart.
No. Well, and given the suit that she had in Wakanda 2, we know that the character is brilliant,
Right.
and we're talking Tony Stark esque brilliance here, and I'm not trying to you know play it down, but she's doing all that stuff without the Stark money.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm hoping just like you are that Maybe it's a prototype before it gets settled on to the actual Ironheart suit. But
That's
I'm really looking forward to it because with with the way things it looks like Marvel go is going, almost a Young Avengers storyline. But there was also the thing that was talked about with Kamala from Ms. Marvel because she's young, and then you have Kate Bishop, and her name came up in that movie. And we have Yolanda, who's going to be in Thunderbolts, which we could always bring her back since she has Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld have a great chemistry with those
I
two
love that
characters.
scene. I love their scene together.
Yeah. So bringing them back together, but now you can introduce Ironheart, and now that we actually have White Tiger as canon in the MCU, if people who are not familiar with that character, more often than not, White Tiger was always portrayed by a female, which I believe could be that the niece that Matt Murdock was talking to at the morgue.
I'm wondering it could go one way or the other because the woman White Tiger is Ava Ayala. So it could be a niece, it could be his daughter, but it is family. You know that the amulet is a family heirloom. And also, just for comparison, for those of y'all who are not familiar with it, this is what Ironheart looks like in the comics. So the color scheme is there, what they're doing right now. Um, I will say, even though her suit in Black Panther 2 was kind of cool, can we admit it's a little Baymaxy?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It
here's
was
the interesting.
cool.
So if my thing is like, if you look at the Avengers, you had Iron Man, you had War Machine, and War Machine was always kind of like a sidekick to Iron Man. But
Right.
we also have Morgan Stark,
True.
who could possibly take the suit that was designed for Pepper and improve upon it. And then you would have Ironheart, and then you would have the Morgan Stark version of, her father's creation.
Yeah.
And then
I will.
and what would be even more interesting is the fact that you have an all-female team.
I just noticed something. I think this was them fucking up with the CGI. You're on your phone right now, so I don't know if you can see this. You may have to wait until you look at it on your computer. If you look, they fucked up the CGI on this because if you look at the shape, the outline of her head, that's the actress's braids.
Oh my God. I can actually see that on the phone.
They fucked up with that. I never noticed it till just now, and I can't see that being intentional. I don't see them like, yeah, I don't see it on the side of her head here,
Hmm.
although I can see it here. Maybe it was intentional. Well, then again, I believe she is using nanotech, isn't she? Or do you remember?
I don't recall. I think there was some Wakanda technology in there, so it's possible.
Maybe it was nanotech. So maybe the braids showing through maybe was not a mistake. I
Maybe
don't like
maybe
it
it's
though.
some kind of special feature like Predator had where she can do a hair flip and actually like cut somebody.
Um, Aesthetically, I don't like that though. I'll just say that much. Um, but yeah. But again, getting back to like with her original look, what they're doing right here honestly doesn't look far from it. It's not dead on, and I actually hope that they get closer to the comic book look, but I can see A, and I can kind of see how they could get to B. I can kind of see it. But yes, and Riri Williams, like you just said, is an immensely brilliant character. In the comics, what happened is that she found a piece of his armor and reverse engineered an entire suit. And the way that they played it out in the movie, I think it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
And even to the point, like when she initially quote unquote broke out of that warehouse when she started flying, they thought that it was Stark tech. So if she didn't find a piece of his equipment, that makes her all the more intelligent because she made a good enough imitation to where they thought it was his anyway. But yeah, so I am willing to check this one out. I think that it was a her introduction in Wakanda Forever was a good backdoor pilot for her character.
Yeah.
Um, I know that they're doing that character, the Hood, with I think Antonio Ramos, I believe might have been his name. Um,
Uh, yeah, maybe. I think.
he's done a few bit roles. The one thing that I know him from is a Spike Lee show that they had on Netflix a few years ago, called "She's Gotta Have It." That was actually a really interesting show, just as a side note, because Spike Lee, I don't know if he does. I don't think he does this with all of his projects. Oh, that I almost hit the wrong button there. Um,
Yeah.
I almost left the studio rather than just stop sharing screen.
Oh,
Anyway,
I thought you were gonna pop up the porn you were watching or something.
not I don't have any up at the moment because I cannot risk that being. Um, but anyway, that particular show, She's Gotta Have It, has a phenomenal soundtrack. What I loved about it is that at the end of every song, Spike Lee would just have a pop up with the name of the song and the artist who did it. There's a whole episode where it's just all Prince stuff because she lives in, I want to say it might have been, it's not Bed-Stuy, it's one of the boroughs. I can't remember which one it is, but they have a whole ass Prince, uh, not a memorial. I can't think of the right word, but it's people putting on like concert and performances, and it's all to Prince's music. So
Huh.
it's a tribute show. It's a tribute show.
Okay.
Um, I don't think it was Brooklyn. I don't think it was Bed-Stuy. I don't remember which borough it actually was, but that's the setting. Um, I thought it was phenomenal. But anyway, that particular actor, um, that's where I know him from, even though he's done a few other roles. Um, Actually, he had a really good one in the show In Therapy on Max. Which, if you haven't seen it, what's her name? Uzo Adoba, Crazy Eyes from Orange
Oh
Is the New
yeah.
Black. Phenomenal actress. Honestly, you wouldn't. She does really good acting in Orange Is the New Black, but when you see her in a completely dramatic, serious role, oh my God, she's incredible. Um, but she's the therapist, and he's actually one of her patients.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are the two things that I know him from, even though he's done other projects. I think In the Heights was one of them. Um, but yeah, so Ironheart, definitely looking forward to it. We'll be talking about that. Obviously, we'll be talking about the new episodes of Daredevil as they come. Um, and a couple other things I was going to talk about. I don't really have a segue for it, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Is of course just the political shit show that is just going to be our lives for the foreseeable future. Um, I love how he cannot resist showing us how fucking stupid he is as a human being because it's not illegal. If you're only listening to this right now, if you're only listening on Spotify, Spreaker, whatever, um, I'm showing a headline right now where Donny Boy, Mango Mussolini, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine, Fanta Fascist is a new one. I like that one.
Oh.
Um, he said that boycotting Tesla was illegal. And for anybody who tries to say, well, that's fake news, no, because this motherfucker said it on his own social media. He said, and I quote, but the radical left lunatics, as they often do, are trying to illegally and collusively, goddamn well he didn't write that because that is not in his vernacular.
No.
Trying to illegally and collusively boycott Tesla. What's illegal about it? And if it's illegal, Was it illegal when y'all did it to Bud Light?
Well, and he's actually on record multiple times prior to becoming president his first term, um, talking about how electric cars won't work and how ridiculous they are and
Yep.
whatnot. But the boycott Tesla, and the Schwarzenegger car. So
And not to mention, he put on a full fucking promo on the driveway in front of the White House where he had all these fucking cars lined up. And I think one of them broke down or something like that, didn't it?
well, what gets even better is every single one of those Schwarzenegger cars is being recalled because they used the wrong fucking glue.
Whoa, whoa. I'm sorry. Glue, there shouldn't be any goddamn, unless you're talking about gluing like upholstery or something. Mechanically
No.
speak, mechanically speaking, there shouldn't be no goddamn glue in the motherfucker. Oh,
So
Jesus Christ.
apparently, and and this is what I've been hearing. I've not really read any articles, but apparently there's like part of the body is like falling off because it was the incorrect glue that was used in assembly. So nearly every single Schwarzenegger is being recalled.
There was a video a while back. It made my heart happy. This guy, I guess I don't know if he purchased a fucking electric car out of his own pocket. I assume so because I don't know how else he would have gotten his hands on one. But he was just running through shit, destroying it. Like he ran through a fucking barbed wire fence and then it got hooked on the inside and it's just trailing. Like he's wrecking this fucking thing. Um, Now again, I have to assume that he already spent the money, so I mean, sucks to be you. But for me, watching this shit get destroyed, and they're not durable at all. Like this thing, he wasn't hitting shit very hard, and it was getting fucking ruined. Um,
Jesus.
which I'm sorry, and who the fuck's idea was this? Well, I know whose idea this design was because he's a fucking jackass. But um, I'm sorry, his bright idea was to build a car that looks like the dog from Black Mirror. Okay, I don't know if we're having technical difficulties or what. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I don't know what the hell happened right there. What was the last
Uh,
thing you heard?
uh, his fucking bright idea.
Oh, yeah. His fucking bright idea apparently was to design the car after the goddamn dog on Black Mirror in that fucking metalhead episode. Which, again, I guess if there's anybody watching who doesn't know what I'm talking about, that would be this right here.
I'm just waiting for fucking Jawas to come out of him one day.
Actually, it does kind of look like a sand crawler a little bit.
Yeah. Saw the greatest fucking sign yesterday on the way home from the hospital.
What's that?
Elon Musk is the worst president ever.
uh yeah, I I love how he has the gall to sit here and he would complain about the unelected bureaucrats, which actually is a complaint that I will share. But he doesn't get to make that complaint anymore because I sure as shit didn't see his name on any ballot.
No. Well, I mean, you heard what he did to that 501c or C3 the other day, where Doge came in.
I didn't see that one.
So apparently, Doge was they found that this was like a nonprofit that the U.S. government started like in the 50s or something like that, and Doge basically Doge went in to basically raid the place, and all their stuff like that, but hired like basically mercenaries to go in with them.
Oh, I think I did hear about that.
So I mean,
Um,
there's more to the story. I mean, if people want to look it up, they can look it up. But I mean, that's the gist of it.
I think I did hear about that. Um, just as a side note, I just thought this was hilarious. I just noticed on I believe it was our last video because like in the title I was talking about like I was watching Star Trek Generations and all that. We actually got a comment from Jonathan, Carolina Storyteller,
Oh yeah.
and he was mentioning that Velveeta Voldemort is his new favorite nickname. So Jonathan, if you're watching this, how's it going? I hope you're doing all right, man. I hope you like the new one I found, which was Fanta Fascist. I'm not going to take full credit for that one. I get that from Pissed Off Bartender because honestly, his content, his alliteration is just fucking amazing.
Since we're mentioning John, Velmont. Okay, so episode 4 has a little bit delayed a bit. What we're hoping to do is release episode 4, and then immediately after that, when episode 5 is supposed to drop, it drops.
Right.
That's the plan. Um, but we're still everything's still going. Some technical difficulties on the, like the sound side and stuff like that. Shit happens, but it will get there. If you're not listening, check them out on Patreon. Um, or wherever you get all your streaming services. I listen on Spotify. I do have Patreon, but I'm mostly on Spotify when I'm at work because I just don't want to hear some people talk.
Fair. Um, I know I was actually on his Facebook live stream yesterday. We were talking about that, and probably what I'm going to do is whenever episode 4 comes out, and again, as he just mentioned, 5 should be coming pretty much right after that. Um, I will probably be doing a TikTok live stream, and we'll do 4 and 5 back to back. Or come to think of it, I never did episode 3. So I may do 3, 4, and 5, just all back to back together.
I
So
better
we
make
may
sure
do
my
it that
phone is charged for
way. Well, I mean, so they're roughly always about 15 to 20 minutes a piece, give or take. So, I mean, we only really need about an hour, roughly, because we also have to figure in we're going to have time just kind of fucking off a little bit.
that. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Also, speaking of which, you know what? I'm just going to plug this real quick. Lately, with our D&D campaign, our DM has actually been streaming it lately. He streams it on TikTok, but he also streams it here on YouTube. His fuck me tag on YouTube is Maji Shines, Majishines. I'll go ahead and put that in the description. But so last night, so I told you before, I've mentioned this before. Me and this other guy, Adam, our characters are based on Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural. Um,
Go
Now,
figure. That's much a surprise.
the god in Supernatural is a guy he lives on Earth a lot of the time as a regular person, and his name is Chuck, right? So my brother, quote unquote, Samwin, is a war cleric, and he keeps talking about worshiping Chuck. Well, last night we were getting our fucking asses handed to us. So he does a channel divinity, and we get and Chuck shows up in person. Now, oh no, it gets better. So our DM he feeds stuff into an AI generator to create tokens. That's how we got mine for Dean Winchester or Dean Win and Samwin, and they actually do look like the actors. Fuck, Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. For Chuck, it's fucking Chuck Norris.
Jesus Christ.
It's Chuck Norris as a Norse deity because he's holding it's not Mjolnir, but it's basically Mjolnir. And one of his I fucking died laughing. And then it got better because one of his attacks, he only can use it once per day because twice he would just be broken. Um, or he can charge it to use it a second time. Is a fucking roundhouse kick.
Surprised it's not a fist that comes out of the beard.
Um, he does punch the shit out of a couple of them at one point too. So, if y'all want to check it out, again, I'm gonna go ahead and tag it in the description. That was our D&D session last night. I fucking died laughing at that. I it was killing me. Um, but yeah, so oh, and I got way off a topic because one thing I was going to mention before we go, because we were talking about politics a little bit ago. He finally went. Finally he did sign the executive order about dismantling the Department of Education, which I have said this before. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I love the irony that his Secretary of Education is a person whose company used to give out CTE as a fucking retirement plan. It doesn't get like you can't make this shit up. Like I don't think there's a writer on this planet who can make this shit up. This is wild. Um and I also want to say for anybody who is celebrating this, yeah, we need to get rid of the Department of Defense. You're the fucking mark. You're you're stupid, and this is going to make your children stupider. I just want to point that out.
All right, everybody, that's about enough time we have for today. We'd like to thank you again for joining us here at Men Behind the Curtain. As always, take care, and Eli's got his words for you.
Yep. Again, feel free to check us out on Facebook. We want to try to get that up to 100 likes so we can live stream over there. As always, may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows, unless you're MAGA, and go fuck yourself. But otherwise, y'all have a good one.
Take care.